So we've talked about lots of things, but the thing that's really sweeping the country right now, unfortunately, is this thing with red flag.
Oh boy.
You know?
Today's video is brought to us by the generosity of Firearms Legal Protection. Firearms Legal Protection is a legal defense program for lawful gun owners. You win the fight, and they will help you win the fight after the fight for the rest of your life. There's a link in the description for a coupon code for a discount for all active self-protection watchers.
And why do I bring that up? Simply because, unfortunately, it's going to be inevitable. And one of the things I think that we're missing the boat, and I think Maine is one of the states that actually got it right. We want to, and this has been my argument to the liberal side, the folks who say, oh God, we need red flag, it's going to stop this, it's not. One of the things we always tend to do is say, hey, we're going to remove, the gun from you because you're a bad person, and the red flag law is only going to last 12 months, and the whole 9 yards. The problem with that is that doesn't stop me from getting other weapons, whether they're guns, knives, explosives, to do these types of things, right? So when people bring this up, I always turn to them and say, well, you're doing it wrong. I don't want to remove the gun from the person. I want to remove the person from the gun, okay? We know someone that has mental illness or something like that. Let's get them help. Taking the gun away from them is only going to potentially stop a part of the problem. Why not get them the help that they need so now they can come back and be a normal functioning citizen like they should be?
And Terry, let me clarify something, and I just want to be really careful with this, okay? I know the vast majority of people in America who do have mental illness are of no danger to themselves or no danger to anyone else. So I am very careful. You guys know me, you know this is a near and dear issue to my heart, that I have people who I love dearly who have diagnosed mental illness, okay? But a mental illness is no different than a physical illness in many sense, right? If you got depression, it's no different than you got diabetes, okay? It's no different than you have cancer. You're not defined by that. Right. It's an illness that you're fighting, okay? So, and most of those people are not a danger to themselves, and they're not a danger to others. So if you're not DTS or DTO, mental illness has nothing to do with whether you should own a firearm. I know plenty of people who well manage their depression and are perfectly safe and confident to own a firearm. Okay? So we should never equate, oh, they're mentally ill, so we take them away from the guns. That's not the problem. The problem is when somebody is an imminent threat to themselves or someone else, or an impending threat. So somebody has shown a level of instability that they're dangerous. Then here's a thought from me. I was talking with another attorney friend about this, that my big problem is, like when President Trump says, well, take the guns and then worry about due process. My answer is, that's not due process.
Right.
That's not due process. The Constitution is very clear. You cannot deprive someone of life, liberty, or property without due process. You must follow due process. Now, we have a system already in place. Now, that doesn't mean that the cops can't put the bracelets on somebody without due process, but they have to charge them
within a certain amount of time.
Within, depending on the state, 24 to 72 hours.
Correct.
So I can hold somebody, let's say, for 72 hours at the outside. That's what we've established as a society, is the outside that I can restrain somebody without formally charging them and them having the due process of seeing a judge and having bail set and being able to start the process. So to me, I say, wait a minute, if we want to say somebody is such an imminent danger that they have a credible threat of danger, and that danger is immediate, and we are worried that if they have access to firearms, that they will cause harm to themselves or someone else, then do the due process thing. We have a 24 to 72 hour hold that we can put on someone, on the person, and within that 72-hour window, they get due process. They get to stand before a judge, and whoever is saying they are in imminent danger, present your evidence of that. Present the fact that you have objective, reasonable evidence of that. Your Honor, he sent me the text messages that he was going to come and kill me. Here are those text messages that came from his phone. That phone was with him the whole time. Okay, that's a credible threat. Now we can put something that resembles an order of protection and a requirement of care and those kinds of things. But if you don't have due process, I ain't about it. But we have this already. So rather than saying, I'm against this idea, to say, no, let's use the system we have in place, 72 hours. Now, maybe that's an investment that we're going to have to make as a society, because we have to say, wait a minute, we have to have a court available so that when these come up, now not just anybody can make a claim, has to be perhaps a loved one, an official like a police officer who has a credible evidence of that, we lock them up. You're coming with us. You're being detained under arrest till we can get you a hearing, right? Due process. Now, I suppose I would be comfortable with saying either you get a choice before the hearing. You can come with us and come to jail for the next 72 hours, or you can hand over the guns for the next 72 hours. Those are your two choices while we wait for this thing. I don't really like either one of those, but if you say, wait a minute, this is something we have to have as a society, then we get due process. And a court is available to do that. And you go, well, we don't have a court available for 6 weeks. Then the bets are off.
Yeah. I'm almost okay with the idea. It's just, to me, it should be, I don't think taking my property, giving me that choice, or going to jail, I think it's a horrible choice between the two.
I agree.
You know?
I don't like it.
Yeah. But to me, like you said, I think the processes are already in place, you know. If someone is that big of a threat to themselves or others, every state has some level of commitment. And the problem with that is we don't want to follow that. So if someone's a threat to themselves and I go down to the local mental hospital and say, hey, this person's a threat, or I say that to the police, there are processes already in place to do exactly what we're talking about. And they, within 24 to 72 hours, someone will make that diagnosis whether or not they are a threat to themselves or others. And after that point, they're either free to go or they're free, they are admitted.
Well,
yeah.
and I will say that as a society, where one of our major problems is here is that we have so de-invested in our mental health system that in most places, help is completely unavailable. I can tell you that I have a loved one who needed an inpatient trip, who was an absolute acute threat to themselves and to others. And let's see, I think it was 6 days for an inpatient psychiatric bed to open up there. We've had at least 6 days in one point, have we not? I mean, there's been so many, I get it. But, we had one place where there was a holding tank of just no care, no treatment, just, okay, you just can't hurt yourself in here for 6 days. And that's in a fairly suburban area. So we've had family members who needed residential treatment, and it was months to find the ability to get into a residential treatment center. And so if we want to have this discussion in America about that one thin slice of somebody who is in acute danger, we're going to have to be willing to invest the money back into the mental health infrastructure at every level, in the community structure, as well as the acute inpatient structure and the residential structure, in order to make those changes. When we deinstitutionalized in the 70s, in the late 80s, it just radically broke the mental health system, and we're now paying the dividends. We're getting to pay the interest payments on that. So this is my soapbox, and I get it, and I don't want to soapbox you no more.
No, and I appreciate it. Just for your viewers out here, Firearms Legal Protection we're the only company that covers red flags.
Yeah.
So if you ever get in a situation where you've been accused and it's a red flag issue, we're the only company that covers that. So
awesome.